There you go. It says
We're live. Yes, we're live for the Palace versus Oxford game, joined by Hamber and Mike here to talk about Dean Henderson in goal, talk about Wilfred. Exactly. It's the first time watching Dean Henderson. Thank you for joining us all. There's questions already about Nathan Ferguson, why he's not in the squad. We'll be answering lots of questions. But yes, Palace's first pre-season game. So let's just start about this summer, really. I don't know what you guys thought about it, but it's been a long summer. Only Nathan Ferguson, lots of transfer rumours. What are you guys expecting? Hamber, I'll start with you for the rest of the transfer window in terms of players.
Well, I mean, obviously, we've got to do a significant amount of business. I'm just enjoying how windy it is where Mike is. He looks very relaxed.
Got myself a beer. I'm good.
Yeah, it's nice to have an outside. I don't have one of those. But no, in all seriousness, everyone knows the work that we need to do. It's pretty clear that the club are trying to do that. Everybody knows we're in for Eze from QPR. By all accounts, that deal's getting closer and closer. Whether or not somebody else comes in and tries to gazump that bid, I don't know. But that'll be a good signing, whatever you think about whether Roy will use him or not. And obviously, similar talk about Ryan Fraser, one that I didn't think would be on our radar. A very, very good player, despite last season being not his best. But we know, we've had our own sort of talismanic wide player have a poor season. We know there's lots of different factors for that. And I know I'm a huge fan of Ryan Fraser's. If we can do that deal, that would be massive. And various other little rumours, which we may or may not talk about through the course of the show, that are out there as well. But I think it's an exciting window for Palace. But obviously, the concern is we've been here before. We've known what we've needed for a long, long time. Roy's gone on record as saying, it's the same conversation we've always been having. We need these players. As of yet, we've failed to get anyone bar Ferguson in. So nervy times for the fans, but I've got every confidence that we'll see something happen really soon.
Yeah, just Nathan Ferguson is another transfer room. Not transfer room, but Nathan Ferguson is the actual signing, Mike. What do you make of that signing, Nathan Ferguson? I mean, we've been linked with him since the January transfer window. We got him pretty early in the window, but he's not playing today. We've actually got comments about Nathan Ferguson, but what have you made of that signing?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. I'm interested to hear about the tribunal money and stuff that could reflect badly on the club. But I think people, it was so early that I think people have short memories, and it's already slipped to the back of people's minds. And B, I think it's creative players that people are really keen to get. So it's great. I'm happy. I'm excited to see him. But I don't think people are going to be too happy until we at least sign somebody attacking, maybe one of those two that Hambo mentioned. And we've got a load of comments as well, Diyar.
Aaron said Eagles. Who do you think Palace are going to sign? Hambo talked a bit about that. I personally think Eze will be done sooner rather than later, because the reports are suggesting that we're going to put a new bid in. Ryan Fraser, realistically, that's who I expect as well for the upcoming signings.
There's other strong rumours out there, Diyar, which some obviously in our position we occasionally get to hear little snippets here and there, but whether or not it's appropriate to share or not, I don't know. Perhaps sometimes you get people's hopes up and these things don't happen, and I think we always have to be cautious of that, even with the strong rumours like Fraser and Eze, which there's no guarantee that these things will definitely happen. Any deals can go bad at the last minutes, and we've got a strong history of that at the moment. So a little bit worried there. I do want to quickly mention, I did look up it seems that Ferguson has not been selected purely because he was obviously injured and had an operation, which is what stopped his move from West Brom to Palace happening sooner, and is still working his way up to full fitness from that. So wasn't risked in this friendly, and you see that in friendlies quite a lot, don't you, with players? You don't want to take risks. You're just trying to build up a bit of match fitness. So nothing dramatic, I don't think.
According to the Telegraph,
points here as well. One, thank you to the people listening to this rather than Mark Bright. That's all I'm going to say on that. And secondly, Yaroslav Yak. We might get to see him today. I'm excited.
Yak.
I nearly had a fit when I saw his name on the team sheet. I just on the subs bench. Well, let's hope his time out on loan has improved his his abilities, because he looked way off the pace, even at under 23s. I know you watched a bit of the under 23s, Mike, at times. I'm sure you've seen a couple of games, Diyar. Even it was Mark Bright who always used to talk about how off the pace he looked. Very odd signing, but who knows? Maybe he's closing that gap in terms of quality.
He wasn't even starting for. Where did he go out on loan? Was it FC Sheriff? His last loan?
I mean, loads of made-up clubs that I'm not sure really exist.
I don't think he was starting there as well. So
I think off the top of my head, he played 12 games last season, something like that. Somebody said in his last game he scored an own goal as well. So excellent stuff.
Good. Like it.
Well, apparently an Ezi bid has been accepted according to the Telegraph, but we don't know how true that is. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, it's not a secret, is it? You know, and whether or not that bid has been accepted, it depends who you talk to. Some people say there's terms in a bid have been done for a while, but most people who seem to be in the know on that would say that the main sticking point had been agreement of a fee. So if that has been agreed, it's probably a bit more than we were looking at when we looked at him in the summer. But it's about the going rate for a player of that promise and potential quality, isn't it, Diyar?
Yeah, but there's a question here, and we talked about Ferguson, but where is Wickham? What's happening with Connor Wickham? Because it's a good one, because I haven't seen him anywhere. He's gone out on loan, and I don't think he's come back to Palace unless I've missed it. I haven't seen him in any of the pictures.
He was in some of the training videos, I think. I saw him in there, and about one or two pictures anyway. But I mean, it's kicked off, but I'm sure people know that.
Oh yeah,
But you know, Wickham is, you know, Roy is pretty blunt about not really fancying Wickham as a player, really. Even in those games, and if you remember, you know, I think, was it Norwich where he came on and did well? There was a couple of good little cameos off the bench, and Roy was very dismissive when people said, "Oh, Wickham made a difference," and he was, "No, he didn't. No." Very, very, you know, well, quite blunt in the fact that he doesn't seem to rate him. I've just seen a comment in from Nav, by the way, who I had lunch with earlier, and he said I look full, and he knows full well why that is.
We got comments about Yak and stuff, but Palace actually, we let go of the ball as soon as we started kick off. There was 3 on goal Oxford United, but it seemed like it's all fine.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey Schlupp just passed it backwards straight to their number 9. So excellent start there.
Lots of rumours suggesting the Ezi one. Another one from Sky Sports, according to the listener. So I don't know. It seems like that deal was nearly done for the Ezi one. Wickham, Bishop, no, this guy, League One side at best.
My eyesight's terrible, and that's very small on my screen. But even I can see that, which is pretty funny. But no, I have to say, I just want to sort of quickly, you know, point out with Gyro starting in this game as well. Do you maybe think there's an opportunity for him this season? Because he seemed to win Roy and the coaching staff over a little bit with that spell at left back, and was being used fairly often, albeit off the bench, but played a fair few minutes in his preferred position in central midfield. Can you see with, you know, McCarthy, there's a bit of a doubt over his future, potentially wanting to move back up north. But there's also, you know, MacArthur, despite the new contract, is getting on a bit. Is there possibly a chance that Gyro might be pushing for a starting place?
I think so. I think there's a chance there, but then again, we've seen it with Roy, where once his favourites are there, he's just going to be sent straight away to the bench. So I wouldn't get too hopeful about it. Oh, Palace are in with a chance. Oh, brilliant save by the Oxford United goalkeeper. But yeah, as I said, I think there's a chance, but I'm not really too sure. That's actually pushing in.
So did you see that? There was a cross. We did a cross.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's because Benteke isn't playing. That's why we cross, isn't it? I remember that. Yeah. But that was a good save. Was that from Wilf? The save. Wilf had the opportunity.
Yeah, we're pressuring them. We're like, yeah.
It's come back. It came back out to Townsend. He put the cross in, and obviously Ayu's header went wide. I have to say, Townsend looking a little leaner as well. If my iPad picture is accurate,
it's looking good, isn't it? It's hard to tell because this season's kit doesn't seem to be player fit in the same way as the last few. I don't know. The Wilf Instagram picture, he looked like he was drowning in his shirt. So it's hard to tell whether they're leaner or not. But
maybe the player fit versions weren't ready.
Yeah, possibly.
Amber, you got a question from Aaron.
Right. Can you read it out for me so I don't have to? Oh, it says, was it the chicken chucker? I have to
Yeah.
say, mate, Aaron knows his history of where Nav and I go for lunch, and the chicken chucker has been well and truly cast aside. It had a fantastic record in getting us wins, but Nav decided he doesn't like it, and it was him who had to order it. So, no, I went chicken Manchurian, he went chili chicken, portions of mutton rolls, and away we go. So, any Palace victory tonight in this friendly is entirely down to us. If we lose, it's entirely down to Nav.
Also, the game is available on the Palace TV app for everyone asking. It is on the Palace TV app. That's where we're watching it. So if you download the app or even log in online to the Palace TV website, then you'll be able to watch the game live. That's how we're watching it.
completely free. Watch along. We're just providing our take on it. Obviously,
The camera seems, it's not the easiest game to see, but.
No, especially when you've got blurred vision due to diabetes problems, which is what I have at the moment. But the green shape has it now in goal for Palace, and back. Anyway,
hello, everyone. I'd rather watch you guys.
I was going to say, are you all shunning Mark Bright? That's harsh. That's very harsh on you.
It's like we're just using Palace as an advantage right now.
We can try and do an impression of them if you want. I can tell you how I'll do one.
Before you get into that, just so you're 100% aware, he is a genuine hero of mine, so careful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Spanish supporter.
Michael Owen's a hero of many people, but
he's a hero for different reasons.
Absolutely. No, I stand by my comments earlier though about Townsend looking lean though. That seems to be.
I can't. It's been 5 minutes. But
look at
you put a one cross.
Look at his shape. Unless my glasses have changed the shape of my vision, he definitely looks about half a stone lighter. To be honest with you, he looks like he's worked very hard in this break to get himself that little bit sharper. Yes, it's pre-season, 5 minutes in against Oxford. I'm not judging his form or anything like that. I'm just saying physically he looks different.
What do we think of the kit? I mean, when it was first announced, there's a comment about the kit that it looks all right with the red shorts. When it was first announced, I wasn't a massive fan, but it's slowly growing on to me. I'll be honest with you. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell from the stream, of course, but I don't know. From the pictures, it looks all right.
It's the same every time. From our conversations in our back of the nest chats that I don't have any strong feelings about the kit. In all honesty, it's not something that appeals to me. Since I got this fat, I don't buy I don't buy football shirts. I just think it's a thing for people who suit it a bit better. But I mean, what can you do with red and blue stripes? One question. But the other point is every year, a lot of people have a strong reaction to the kit, and then they see it in the flesh, they see it on players, and all of a sudden you think, oh, it actually doesn't look that bad. And by the end of the season, no one will remember that they didn't like it at the start of the year. So
someone went down injured, but it's hard to tell who it is. Is it Wilf? Yes, yeah. Wilf is down injured. It seemed like he picked up a knock. He was running and he just hit himself onto an Oxford player. I don't know if it's deliberate or it doesn't look good. Yeah,
it's hard to say what's happened there. Whether or not there was a connection to the midriff or he was actually pulling up, it's really hard to tell. I mean, obviously, if he's pulled up, that's bad. But if it was more of an impact injury from the player trying to sort of block him off, probably not as bad. It looks there you go, shoulder, arm. Let's hope it's not another dislocated shoulder and he joins PVA on the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, if we lose Wilf as well before the start of the season, then that would be horrific. We've got someone from Brazil watching. We've got someone from Spain. We've got people from all over the world watching Palace. Didn't realise we had a fan base that big, but it's good to see. We've got people from Indonesia.
Indonesia? Wait. Let's not move on from that. Indonesia. Yeah. It's called Indonesia, mate.
Indonesia. I was going to swear. No, I'm just. I'm reading a Spanish comment as well. He's good with Spanish. Can you translate that? It's something about MacArthur.
I don't even know what no is in Spanish, so I can't really help you there.
Something about MacArthur and Joe Ward.
But Wilf is walking off.
Thank you.
At the minute.
Albanian as well.
We're massive. We are a massive club. We are
more actual commentary, I think.
Yeah. We got a question. Would you rather be stuck with someone you hate or someone that hates you?
They mean
if we're
relationship wise, or
yeah. Are we talking about Palace? Are we talking about general life topic here?
I mean, I've tried both. It's you know, it's,
If we're talking about Roy Hodgson, if I was a player, if I was in Will's shoes, I'd rather leave. I'll just say that.
I think that, look, I think I want to sort of draw a bit of attention to the Wilf thing, because he's been getting a lot of flack, and you know how defensive I am of Wilf, because like a fair few people, I think probably watching this and watching this game as well, I think really we've sort of seen him grow up in a Palace shirt, come through the youth, and just do some amazing things we've never thought possible for other, you know, from footballers playing for Palace. And he's taken a lot of flack, and it's hard to watch at the moment. And I really still have very strong feelings about Roy's comments at the end of last season, where he really did sort of hang him out to dry and saying, you know, basically that he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't like Palace. And I think there's one thing you can say about Wilf. It's not that he doesn't like Palace. He might not like how Palace play. He might not like playing in this Palace team, but he's always shown us respect. And him wanting to leave, it's something we've experienced before when he went to Man United, and we weren't surprised then. And it's something we wait for every single summer. And to be in a position now where people are sort of turning on him and saying, "Well, it'd be best if he went." It probably would be best if he went, but, you know, for his career. But we should be sad that he wants to leave. But, you know, understanding he deserves our blessing to leave Palace, and I've always felt that way.
Yeah, but it was a very dumb comment from Roy, wasn't it? Like, why would you go out in public and say that? I know that Wilf wants to leave. We all know that Wilf wants to leave. It's no surprise. Even before Hodgson came to the club, there was rumours of Wilf potentially joining the likes of Tottenham. But the fact that you came out in the public and said about your player, I've already, you know, if you listen to the podcast, you already know what I feel like with Hodgson. It's just the fact that he's uninspiring. If I was a player at Palace, I wouldn't be inspired by him. And I feel like everything that's been said about Roy Hodgson since he has joined the club, about him being this great manager and players looking forward to playing with him, is just all PR. I just think it's nonsense. I don't think players like playing for Palace. Why on earth would it be Wilfried Zaha and enjoy playing for Palace when all you're asked to do is go and defend rather than having that creative attacking force? So the Roy Hodgson thing...
It hasn't taken long for this anger to get back to the surface, has it? First televised friendly of the season.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about in general with Wilf. I feel like it's harsh on him. It's harsh on him. Of course, it's a business, but then again, we're not playing the greatest football to help him as well succeed in the system. We can't show the live match, but the match is available on the Palace TV app, so make sure to go there and watch it. There, it's absolutely free.
Yeah, this is a watch along rather than a broadcast of the match.
Get through a few of the questions. Dean Hill, any news on Ryan Fraser? Not to our knowledge. The easy rumours would. We're not sure. It sounds like people are starting to say it's a done deal, but as of this morning, the second bid had been rejected. Is the only true thing I'd heard going through the Twitter stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, for those who missed the start of it, I did sort of address it. Look, you know, Oxford have just gone 1-0 up.
Oxford, yep. Brilliant start to Palace. Crossing to the box, to the back post, heads it down to the centre. No one's picking up the Oxford player, and it's another goal. Great.
I mean, look, you know, it
is pre-season. It is pre-season, but
cut out the pre-season comments straight away. But, you know, was a very, very sort of slack at the back post there. A very simple goal. Henderson not covering himself in glory, but it was close range, and a bit of a simple goal to concede. But look, yeah, going back to the Fraser and the Eze comments, if you know who to look at in terms of social media and things like that, they're all saying that these deals, Palace are very much pushing for them to get done. It does sound like, by all reports, that there's been a bit of a breakthrough in the Eze transfer, but as ever, unless they're standing there on the official website holding the Palace shirt, you don't count it as done.
Aaron says, "Bring back Jules." Yeah, we all love Jules back at the club, but I feel like I don't think he wants to come back into Palace right now, especially.
I don't think he's still playing, is he? So
yeah, he's meant to go out for another club, but I don't know. He hasn't retired, so
I think when you're sort of 40 years old and you haven't taken on another contract after a year, I think you're pretty much retired. In all
Another injury. This is going brilliant. It's only been 13 minutes.
McCarthy down this time. Obviously, looks like two players going in strongly. McCarthy coming off the worst, and I mean that looked like a foul on him. To be honest with you, I think he gets there first. I think the ref has given it eventually. But yeah, it's certainly been played at a bit of a pace, isn't it, Diyar?
Yeah, it is. It seems like we've attacked. We've had some opportunities up there. Of course, we had our Andros Townsend cross, but then it's the weird thing about Palace is that when you look at the re-sign, especially the last couple of games, we were so good defensively before that, but it's quite worrying how we've started to slump in that area, because last season we pretty much survived based on our defense. We scored 31 goals in 38 games. So hopefully, I know it's pre-season, but hopefully the defense picks up to the levels where it was before, because if it doesn't, then we struggle to score goals. It's easy relegation candidates. But yeah, hopefully.
Well,
in the restart, it was worrying.
We've got to do something at centre back. We've addressed the situation at right back as soon as Ferguson's fit, of course. Still a little light at left back. Depends on Mitchell a lot. But we definitely need another centre back in, because obviously you're looking at this, and Cahill's still injured, isn't he? So
yeah, he's injured. I feel like
that injury doesn't look good for McCarthy either, does it? Maybe it's an impact injury, but he's limping badly.
What's
is anyone worried about this? Is anyone worried about this season? As the other question.
Yeah, I'll bring that right away. I'm worried. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say that based on this game. Of course, I'm predicting based on how this season ended. I'm worried based on the fact that I don't know. I feel like Roy Hodgson, he's peaked. Like, he's peaked at Palace. We stayed up, of course, in the first season under Roy without scoring in 7 games. Man. Yeah. No. But when he first joined Palace, you could see that the players were up for it. But now it just feels like, because it's the same old tactics and it's the same old players, and even the substitutions are pretty much similar as well. I don't feel like the players are motivated as they were before. I'm a bit worried, I'll be honest with you. I think next season, our expectations for me is to stay up. Before it was top 10, but now it's just to stay up.
No, of course it is. And I think we've got to be honest about things and say it's transitional again. And we've said that word a number of times since being in the Premier League. And let's not forget, this is the longest we've ever been there. But yeah, absolutely, things have gone stale for fans and seemingly players alike with Roy in charge. And, this coming season is, I would say, without any shadow of a doubt, going to be his last as Palace manager. And we'll have to see how long it lasts. But at the same time, we can't. I mean, we're losing a friendly at the moment. It doesn't mean a huge amount right now. But there's definitely work to do. As Oxford nearly score again, there's definitely work to do. But we probably should try not to start from a position of people being frustrated about what's come. But I do agree with you, DR, because one thing you do know is that form and momentum are a really important thing, and you can't completely ignore the downward turn from last year and not expect to see at least some hangover of that at the start of this season. But
a few new players would change that, though, wouldn't it? Or it could well change that. Like, if you get some new staff at work, whatever work you do, and they're a good laugh or they're talented, it does make you look at your job differently as well. So we'll see.
But then again, with new signings, is Roy going to play them? That's another thing. It's not as simple, because we've seen with Camarasa. Camarasa joined the club and he had one appearance against Colchester. I remember. That's it. And then he left the club. So it's not just about new signings. Are these new signings going to be used by Roy Hodgson? That's another question.
Ryan Fraser is a proper Hodgson player, surely.
Yeah.
I mean, surely.
But Eze can't see it,
But there's no way that Palace would let him get away with a £20 million signing, sitting on the bench and not doing anything, surely. I mean, I suppose Gyro was £8 million, but that would be the third biggest signing Palace have ever had.
It would, but look at, I bring him up. He's a bone of contention, but Max Meyer, just because he didn't cost 20 million, had he been under contract and we went out and bought him at the time, he probably would have cost that much money. And he's been left out in the cold purely because the manager doesn't fancy him. So, and lots of people say he's never done enough. I mean, I was talking with Nav about this at lunch, and it's how can you really judge a player who's getting minutes here and there And he was saying people have that tendency to add all the minutes up and call it games, but it isn't playing matches. But there's
that you had lunch, please. Like, I haven't eaten yet, so stop it. You had a curry, we get it. Yeah, cheers.
It was nice.
Palace got food and roll.
My first Palace chat in a while as well. Yeah, we are playing a bit. We are playing a little bit better now, playing a little bit more intensity. It was interesting to see foul called back for something that Townsend did when he put the ball in the net after being flagged for the foul. But it looked a bit of a generous foul. So
we've got a question on Facebook from Mark. He says, "How long do you think Hodgson has got, especially if we start as poorly as we ended the season?"
He will. My opinion is that if the form is the same as it was last year, he'll be gone. Before Christmas, but probably not. We won't be too hasty with it. I think there's lots of interesting rumours out there of what the plan for the transition is. That it's probably not my place to get into, but as I say, I believe it to be Roy's last season, and I personally don't think he'll last the full season.
Yeah, I'll be surprised as well if he lasts a full season after how we ended last season. And another thing is, it really depends on how we start the season, because you have to consider what we went on an 8-game without win. We lost 7 games in a row. Then of course we drew against Tottenham, but it's 8 games without winning. That is massive. So hopefully he starts the season. Hopefully we start the season well. I think that's the only way he lasts even up till Christmas. I'll be surprised if we start the season badly and Roy Hodgson still at the club at Christmas, because you have to consider last season. We made a mistake with Alan Pardew where we sacked him late, and Parish and co can't do the same mistake once again, because we got lucky. And we're not going to always find the Sam Allardyce's, Tony Pulis's and the Roy Hodgsons to save us. We feel like we've gone through all of this. So we have to be sensible.
Yeah, a little save there from Henderson, by the way. No, not a dramatic shot from long range, but again, sort of Palace a little bit too easy to play through there. Totally get what you're saying, Diyar. And look, I think it's not really a Pardew situation. And I think really the key thing is not really necessarily. I know we focus a lot on how we play, but for me, the key thing into next season is to look at how he deals with the situation that caused that lack of form, which was a few injuries. And having to play lots of games back to back in that Premier League restart period. He chose to blame the small size of the squad, having not fully utilised that squad, and that's the type of thing that removes all my belief in him as a manager, as the manager to take us forward. That's why I'm disappointed he is the one taking us forward at the start of this season. I would like to have seen a change. It's that mentality, that idea that I had to stick with those players that I picked, which in some cases I believe caused the injuries that happened in that period, and certainly caused the fatigue and lack of form for many. So I was really disappointed he did that, because there were players sitting on that bench like Gyro, who's playing now, like Max Meyer, who finds himself benched again, who, okay, if he doesn't think they're the best players for the positions, they're certainly not throwaway players. They're certainly not 15-year-old players from the academy who've never played a top game of football. They were perfectly viable options. He chose not to use, and then he blamed the size of the squad for it, and that was the most frustrating thing.
We've got a question.
Can I just get on to an update on the Easy transfer? I've just been reading through. It looks to me, most of the comments who seem to be about this, it looks to me as though the one Telegraph article has just been shared by a lot of people. So going to temper it and wait for a bit more information. It looks promising, 19.5 million, but it looks as though one article is just spread outwards. So going to wait a little bit longer on that before putting anything up on Twitter or whatever.
There was another article out yesterday from West London Sports suggesting that Palace were going to up their bid after Fulham joined the race. So I don't think it's a surprise. I think West London Sport reported it, now the Telegraph. So it seems like Palace are going to put in a new bid. And I feel like we saw on the weekend, Eze didn't start for QPR. So if that's the case, and QPR are willing to sell the player, so I think it'll be done sooner rather than later. And hopefully it is true. And
it was confirmed he didn't start because of the issues over transfer speculation and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, look, as I've said, bears repeating to a degree, but it is not a secret that Palace are very much trying to do that deal and get it wrapped up soon. And arguably probably wanted it wrapped up a bit earlier than this. But when you're going for a player and you think you're being asked for too much money, you do have to stand firm a little bit to do these deals. And yeah, we just go back to the question: if we do get him, he's a very, very talented, promising player. Again, another thing I was talking about earlier on today, where I was told that statistically off the ball he's not the strongest, so you do wonder if he's a Roy type of player. But
well, if that's the case, no, he's not.
So what's going to happen? We're going to spend 20 million on a player, and he's not going to play. Do you think that's what I'm telling you? Roy Hodgson is a very lucky man that the fans are not allowed in the stadium, because if it came to it in the last 7
You'd
games,
smash him one, wouldn't you, Diyar? You'd be in there. You'd give him a punch, wouldn't you?
No, I'm not talking. What are you on about? I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about. Do you think the fan base would have just allowed that 7 games in a row losing streak? It would have been toxic. So I feel like.
Would you have taken one of your skeng men down there and had a bit of a go?
Here we go. We got a question, not a question, statement from Barry. Hennessy's doing well. Would have got rid of him a long time ago. Yes, I agree with you. I feel like Hennessy has, I don't know why he's still at the club, but I guess his wage must be team friendly, because that's the only reason. Apart from that, it makes no sense, because the fan base clearly don't rate him. I'm so against Roy. 3 strikers, 3 central defenders, no creativity. He's brain dead. His tactics isn't the greatest, Adam. I feel like we all agree with you there, but I don't think we play 3 strikers. If we did, I think that would be.
I think he's talking about
3 attackers.
Yeah, but I think even me being quite a staunch critic of Roy, I wouldn't call him brain dead. He's just, but he is very very sure of what he wants to do and how we want to play. And we do get points doing it. We stayed in the Premier League again doing it. It's just very hard to watch. And there's a reason why managers don't, in a modern game, they don't tend to hang around very long, because you do get a period where there are no new ideas and things do feel stale. It feels like it for fans, and you'd start to see it on the pitch for players as well. And there'll be most of the players in that squad will love Roy for the coaching that he gives, for the dedication that he has, for the person that he is. But even those that love him will be feeling probably a little bit stale, particularly when the things he's suggesting don't work. And that's where you need that bit of creative thinking.
Hamber, you got a question from Terence.
Oh,
you can see it. Any new grounds for you in the championship next season?
There's a fair few, actually. Yeah, it depends. I'm just trying to think where I haven't been, but it's a loaded question, that, Terence. So I can't possibly answer it, until
another comment from him. 40k a week for Wayne.
That is not cheap.
Townsend with a free kick deflected high and wide there, so corner for Palace coming up. So interesting to see Townsend on the free kicks.
Yeah, that is not cheap for Wayne Hennessy. I thought it would be something cheaper than that. 40k a week, or jeez.
International corners, just interesting. It was McCarthy taking them before he got injured.
Yes,
he was horrendous. And PVA took some, didn't he?
Yeah,
corners, we clearly don't work on them, because we scored 1 corner goal last season out of 170. What was that stat?
No, it was 2, wasn't it? We scored 1 on the last day.
Corner came to nothing, unsurprisingly, but Palace trying to win the ball back there, and getting a bit scrappy. Typical pre-season stuff. 27 minutes on the clock. Hopefully you are all able to watch it. And just a reminder, of course, that if you aren't watching it and you're just watching our lovely faces, you can watch it on the Palace app for free.
Yep, we got a question. We need Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins was rumoured to join the club, but then it died down. There was only just one room a couple of weeks ago, and then since then it seemed like Aston Villa are interested in him. Palace, there's no links to Palace really with Watkins.
Yeah, well, the thing is, obviously, Dean Smith is a former manager of his Villa, so you'd expect him to be interested, and Watkins to want to play for Dean Smith again. I expect. We had interest in him, I think, last summer and in the January window as well. I think one of the big problems in having interest in a player that you don't pursue is when he becomes worth, £5-6 million more in the next window. You kind of start to feel hesitant to spend that money.
But plus, they're a club that can't afford to get rid of all of their assets. You know, they already lost Malpai, didn't they? So I mean, they Brentford were unlucky not to go up this season, so they're not going to want to get rid of him. And I really think it would take a lot to prize him away unless he wants to go. And even Zaha has shown that doesn't always make a difference.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, they certainly won't want to get rid. And obviously Ben Rama as well, who has been linked with Palace in a couple of articles as well. But I think that, if you combine the two of them, you're talking about probably 40-45 million pounds worth of player, both of whom are championship players at the moment. And it's silly money when you look at it. Unless you're a newly promoted team who suddenly has that 100 million quid extra to spend and no worries about FFP because you've just been promoted. As we've seen, you can't, when you're an established Premier League club, it's actually a lot harder to spend that money. Your costs are a lot higher, and you're always trying to work within FFP to a degree. Although I think maybe that's postponed for a season. Seems to be reading.
Because we got Chelsea, they're signing everyone. They're not stopping. It's like there's no FFP, there's no coronavirus. They're just going along with it. They signed how many players now? Like 6 or 5.
Yeah, Abramovich is FIFA career moding it, isn't he?
Yeah, I wish we could do that.
Can we just go to comments? Yeah. We're getting more than we can read, let alone read out. So sorry, keep them coming now. When does the match start? Is a question. Well, it's well in, mate.
Arguably for Palace, not yet.
We're half hour in, so go on the Palace site. How are you? Oh, very kind. Thank you. We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
A lot of players are better on the Big Sam. Yes, I'd agree with that. If Zaha goes, sell him abroad, at least he won't play against us. Yes, good point, Bowie. I'd rather he did. I wish we could reply to these comments like in writing, but we can't. So
yeah, we're just talking about that. Yeah.
The interesting thing on Zaha going abroad, that does feel so much better, doesn't it? Can you imagine, like, if he joined? I think PSG might be out of the question, but Monaco were linked as well. Imagine if he joined Monaco.
I'd love if he just went to like Oldham or something like that. So the only chance we've got is in the League Cup.
Hey, don't disrespect Oldham.
Why? What's wrong with Oldham?
We got a history with Oldham.
Oh. Talking about the past. I thought you personally got a history with Oldham.
No, not personally. No, I do take it quite personally. But no, it's way before you were born, Diyar.
I was going to say that's before Diyar was more than a twinkling in the milkman's eye.
Exactly.
Is Roy aware the season is over and Oxford aren't in the Premier League? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, this game's got a feeling of under 23s about it, stepping off, not tackling. So I think conceding's not a massive issue. It's more about what you can create. I think all three of us went to the Bristol City away game at the start of last season for pre-season. We won 5-0 and it was really hard on Bristol City. But it's what you create, really, rather than defending.
Yeah, no, look, if this was a League Cup game and we were treating Oxford like we are here, I would be critical of it. But in a pre-season friendly, you are working on your shape, you are working on your fitness, so you will set up as if you were playing a Premier League game. You will probably give them a lot more time on the ball and respect than normally you would. Although I do recognise,
I got a smile on my face because
I do recognise that we have a habit of doing that. We did that to Colchester last year. So yeah,
Colchester and Grimsby, that was embarrassing. Colchester was embarrassing on a personal level for me because of someone at the club. But yeah, Grimsby as well. Anyway, so the match starts off.
We won the Grimsby game.
But yeah, we won. But they were 10 men down, and we beat them only 1-0 with Jordan Ayew scoring a tap in. It was quite a trouble. Yeah. But
as I've been widely bullied on Twitter by certain people for, I described Ayew's goal against Grimsby as my favourite Palace goal that season. Just so you know, Townsend scored against Man City from 40 yards that season. But I really liked it because it was just a typical normal goal, and we hadn't been scoring or creating those opportunities. A crossing from the left onto a striker's head, headed into the corner, and you're just like, that's nice. We can do normal football every now and then. and that's why I enjoyed it. But it wasn't a better goal.
It was an amazing goal in the 86th minute or whatever. Ewan, remember when Alex Ferguson put out 8 defenders against Arsenal when they won 2-0? Imagine the reaction if Roy started 8 defenders. He won't. He'll start 8 central defensive midfielders, and he did do that last season many times.
We're linked with loads of sort of central defensive midfielders as well. Isaac Hayden being one of them. So the dream can come true soon. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, but you might see 8 defensive midfielders on the pitch for Palace, which will be crazy. Opinions on Max Meyer. We talked about him earlier on in the show, but of course, Mike, you haven't really talked about him, and I haven't as well. What do you think on Max Meyer? Do you think he's a bit overrated, or he's just not getting the chances?
In a sad way, in a way that a supporter absolutely shouldn't be. I'm slightly concerned about the wage structure. If we sign a few more players without letting anyone go. And Max Meyer on 80 grand if he's not going to get a game worries me. Sacco got injured, so he's not ended up at Lyon. Benteke's not going to go anywhere until his contract's up. So I shouldn't be concerned about wage structures, but I am, and I don't think Meyer pays off his 80 grand a week for not his own fault necessarily, because it's just the way Hodgson plays him. But you're not going to see anything out of him, and it's whether he can outstay Hodgson or not. I think for me.
His contract runs out next summer, doesn't it? Along with Roy Hodgson's contract.
It does, yeah.
So does the club go and renew his contract because they want to give him another try under a new manager, or do we just let him go? Because there's been no interest in Max Meyer. What, you would renew his contract?
Well, again, it depends. It depends on what you. I mean, to declare there's no interest in Max Meyer, you don't know that. That could have happened, but
according to the papers.
Yeah, according to the papers, but the papers don't report everything, do they?
Everything, yeah.
So, but what I would really just say about contract situation is Palace have shown with the likes of Wickham, with even people like Ryan Innes, they don't like to let players run down contracts and leave. So whether or not Meyer has a future at Palace, they won't allow Max Meyer to enter the last year of his contract without.
With Benteke refusing to leave, so that might have made them. I'm just thinking, has it made them rethink this time around? I don't know.
Look, they will at least try to keep him under contract if he remains a Palace player, or doesn't want to leave. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, with a player like that who joined us on a free, maybe the motivation for him is probably see out this contract and then do the same thing again. You just don't know, but Palace won't want that to happen, and will probably, I would expect them to try and either sell or renew that contract. They certainly won't do nothing. But as I said earlier, I mean, Diyar, what's your views on him?
I was going for a drink break.
Well, before you get back to that, then somebody's asked what the score is. It's currently 1-0 Oxford. After 3 minutes of intensive Palace pressure at the beginning, we've created the square root of Dick.
Square root of Dick.
Carry on.
So yeah, Max Meyer. I feel like there is talent there, but he's not Hodgson's type of player. You can see it. He gets put on the left-hand side. We don't see him centrally. That's where I want to see Max Meyer in the central positions rather than out wide. And yeah, I'd rather the club did renew his contract for at least another year after Hodgson goes. And that's if he does go, but I'm pretty sure he will after the season, one way or another. But yeah, I would like his contract renewed because I feel like there is talent there. And you never know, with the next manager, that might be unlocked. So
yeah, I think that's a sensible view. I think he's got a lot to offer a team that plays him. Here we go, Palace on the attack. That should have been an equaliser. It was Wilf blazing over at the back post. There was a block. I think it was Ayew who had the shot of the near post, which was well blocked, following a cross in from the right hand side by, I think that's Schlupp who's marauded over there. Ayew has the strike, possibly a hand blocking that, but Wilf should really have controlled the finish, but didn't, unfortunately.
Yep, big chance goes missing. I think best centre back is definitely Tompkins. Tompkins has been injured. I don't know if he's back and if he's fit for the club, because he seemed like he's been out for a while, and I don't know if he starts alongside Gary Cahill, because it's clear that Gary Cahill is our best centre back. But alongside Gary Cahill, is it Scott Dan, who's been pretty good? since he's come back, or is it going to be James Tompkins? I'm not too sure. What do you guys think?
I think if you look at the defensive record, it's one of those things, isn't it? Dan has played well, but the record defensively isn't as good as it had been with a sort of sensible, stable back four. So I don't know. I don't know if Dan's sort of resurgence means he gets to start. I agree. Tompkins, prior to the constant injuries, was probably our up there with our between him and him and Sacco were an amazing partnership, weren't they? But Cahill, hopefully he comes back from the injury and is perfectly fit. But I think it would have to be Cahill and Tompkins for me. I wouldn't put Dan ahead of Tompkins if everybody was fit.
What happens with Sacco? We're not even mentioning Sacco in this list. Is Tompkins with Cahill or is Scott Dan with Cahill? He's earning.
For me, it's still Sacco and Tompkins, but I can't remember the last time.
Yeah, I've just written Sacco off because he just cannot stay fit at all. And obviously when he did get in the team back end of last season, played really well, but had a moment, didn't he? And you just lose confidence in a player, and I've lost confidence in him. So it's almost like I don't see him as an option because he's out so often anyway.
Nick said, I saw Oxford United thrash QPR 4-1 in a shock Milk Cup victory at Wembley about 35 years ago. I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of the Milk Cup. I don't know if it's a joke, but...
No, it's a real thing.
One for Hamburg.
Another in a long line of messages from Nick on a daily basis. Basically, might as well just say, I'm old. I'm a very old person. I'm old. But I'm not catching him up because that's not how age works, but I'm also old. So there we are.
Yeah. We've got what's the score? It's still 1-0 to Oxford United. They scored pretty earlier on in the game. But Palace are pushing. They're pushing, but it's just we're not really good.
Oh, he's given a foul. It did not look like a foul. I mean, I'm obviously biased and every decision against Palace is wrong, but that didn't look like a foul.
As an update for people, this looked promising. We looked sharp up front for the first few minutes, but it's sort of gone into the same kind of stodgy nothingness that you'd expect from a Palace team the end of last season. Obviously, everyone's, a lot of these players, because this is a strong team they're selected, haven't played in the other behind closed doors games. Most of them have been under 23 games. So these are players that need some fitness. But
sorry to interrupt, but there's Palace have started to turn the screw a little bit in the last few minutes, and Wilf got down the left really well, played a wonderful ball in ahead of him, and that looks like Schlupp with a strike left-footed. As he does, tries to drill it bottom corner, but it's just wide. So the chances are starting to come, Mike, as you were sticking the boot in a little bit.
I mean, yeah, they are. No, what I was going to say is you can't really criticise. It's early. They've got an excuse at the moment because it's been a long time for some of these players, and it's been a fair while for the ones that played the game against Spurs. So. It's going to be slow going. Let's just hope it speeds up in the second half.
I think the number of pre-season friendlies that I've watched and enjoyed, even when we've won comfortably, I could probably count on one hand. They just don't tend to be good footballing spectacles. You'll try to judge various little things as you're watching it, but no, really, it's just that first.
The problem with pre-season friendlies is you can win 7-0 and think, oh, it doesn't matter. Or you can lose 1-0 and go, oh, God, that's a sign of things to come. There's never any positivity that comes out of any pre-season friendly. That's
the joy, isn't it?
Apart from when Stephen Dobby scored 5. Sorry, what?
Oh, yeah, remember. What was the score? 13-0?
13-1, yeah. I think it was.
31 under Tony Pulis. Oh, I miss the Tony Pulis days. I never thought I'd say that. Isn't Scott Dan out of contract now? Scott Dan's not out of contract. Nope.
No.
He's still contracted to the club. Dan is good. We say Tompkins because he scores more than Dan. And yes, we've got competition at the back line with more goal scorers, but that's a question from Barry. Palace are just pushing, but it's like no one's in the middle. We go out wide and put balls into the box. Then there isn't anyone there. And it's
predictably, Oxford is pack in the box when we get forward. And, we struggled for goals last year for the exact reason we don't get enough up. But we're gambling a little bit, getting people forward. That cross from Townsend, straight into the arms of the keeper. But, nice to see us playing on the front foot a little bit at the end of this half. So just ticking up to 43 minutes. So a couple more minutes. I'm looking forward to my halftime break where I'm going to have a slice of orange.
Why an orange? What's going
That's
on?
the half. What do they have now then?
Whoa.
Sunday League or whatever.
Oh,
It was always orange when I was playing.
Yeah. No, I thought you. Anyways, we got a question. Well, you got a question, Hambo, from Bradley. Hambo, do you think Hodgson should have gone after Spurs game?
Oh yeah, I think he should have gone long before that. Frankly, just think. I mean, I really hope to. If I'm proved wrong, I will be delighted. I would never be sitting there sort of sulking that Hodgson's still there if he gets a few signings and starts to be more adventurous and play some better football and invest more in the attacking side of our play. I'll be delighted, but I just don't see it. Everything he puts out on the pitch, it's not, you can't read too much into what he says, although I do think he was talking very negatively, and that was kind of evident of how he plays football at the moment. I just think it feels like he's out of ideas as to how to get more out of this Palace team. I think it seems to me like he's reached his point of this is the system for this squad. That's the best we can do. And I just do not believe that. And that's why I want him gone. But really important to note, he's been with us quite a long time for a modern manager. And in me saying that, it's in no way disrespecting what he's done at Palace. I think his time at Palace overall has been a massive success. I just think last season was a season too far. So obviously I feel this season is 2 seasons too far. But I hope to be wrong.
We got a question from Adam. I believe if Benteke was getting crosses, he would be scoring again. Benteke has never been good under Roy. And yeah, I believe I'm with you, Adam, there, because as we've seen it, after 1 or 2 crosses, we get excited because we haven't seen much of that under Roy Hodgson. So if we put crosses in, yes, but then again, I don't think it's going to change because Roy Hodgson hasn't changed the system for God knows how long. But yes, I think it's as simple as that for Benteke. If we put crosses into the box, he is that aerial threat, so he will score goals.
Dancing feet from Wilf there, by the way, and we've just got a corner right at the end of the half. So we'll see if we can do anything from this corner. We're great from corners, Mike, yeah? It'd be good.
Yeah, I mean, this will be the 3rd goal in a year if it goes in. Gyro's looking sharp. He looks like he's got more touches than the rest of the team put together in the last 10 minutes. And it's, again, I've got to give huge props to the fact that he's got the best hair in football as well.
Well, that's half time. The corner was headed out, and I guess Diyar take us into half time. I'm going to escape. You guys can carry on chatting, but I need to go. I need to go and get a drink and stuff.
Yeah, I got to tell.
Yeah, we'll be back for the second half.
Right, see you guys in a bit.
a long running podcast called Back of the Nest, and you can look it up on whatever podcast platform you usually use. But we are, I suppose, one or two Palace podcasts that are not club related. The other one, one's pretty popular too. I'm just talking to everyone. I just thought I'd rejoin.
It wasn't live. You was talking. You were talking to yourself. You was not in the stream. I was wondering who you was talking to.
Oh God!
You're doing the stream right now. No, you joined. Like I added you back into the stream right now because I just came back and I just heard you just talking about Palace podcasts and there's 2 of them and. That's brilliant. You just.
I've been
rehearse it.
I've been chatting away on YouTube then.
Yeah. Well,
That's all right. I don't mind that.
I don't think they could have. I don't know. Maybe they could hear you.
Like YouTube is still here because that's all right.
Did I miss Mike?
Type messages, but
I missed Mike broadcasting his life on YouTube.
No, I've been chatting away, not knowing that this particular stream platform wasn't on. But there's still people on YouTube. It's cool.
All right.
Lionel, what's the score? It's 1-0 Oxford. The score has seemed pretty irrelevant in the first half. Palace started to get together the last 10 minutes. We'll see. Read Crystal Palace said we agreed a fee. There's a lot of stuff since the Telegraph put out the article. I don't know, an hour or so ago, just under an hour. I think they've all come from the same source. It sounds promising. It sounds like 19.5 million, but let's wait. Let's not get too excited, people.
If we can talk a little bit about why these things get released as articles, because whose interest is it in to say that Eberechi has agreed a fee? We've agreed a fee with QPR for him. It's only it's in the interest of an agent or a club who's looking to see if anybody else is going to put in some last minute interest. So if it is true, which personally I think it's quite likely, it doesn't necessarily mean that the saga is at an end. It could just be another chapter. But again, looking at if you talk to the right people, read the right accounts on social media, it does seem like the player is keen to join Palace, and it does seem like we might well have agreed a fee for that to happen. So it could also move very, very quickly. But you kind of want to pour a little bit of cold water on it. People who have seen him on a regular basis do tend to talk about him as a hugely talented player. But in terms of us as Palace fans, I'll put it out there, never seen a full 90 minutes that he's played. So I don't feel like I should be getting excited one way or the other, to be honest with you. It's but if it's
the excitement of a new forward player, though, isn't it?
Exactly. And again, YouTube can even make Diyar look like a superstar, I reckon. But there are things that he does at championship level which suggest he is just a Premier League player in waiting. So it is potentially a very, very interesting signing, but I suspect, I don't see where he necessarily fits in immediately with how we operate. But very, very exciting to get a talented young player. If that does come
so, let me ask you this: are you more excited about the prospect of Ryan Fraser being?
Yeah, I personally am. Yeah, because I think that he's much more likely to play. I think probably more importantly, I think I know a bit about him as a player. I think when I first saw him play, I didn't know where he'd come from, but although he's sort of Shaqiri-like in stature, if you like, he was just so direct and quick the first time I saw him that, I love a direct, quick player. They make people make mistakes. They put people on the back foot. They move the team up the pitch. I personally don't think you can have enough of those in your side, really, in attacking positions. So, I'm hugely excited if that one comes off. I still, I'm 50-50 on it. I can't believe that there's not a bigger club with more resources out there who's willing to take a chance on him. If we get him, it's going to be fantastic, in my view.
I think with the Fraser thing, the reason why bigger clubs are not coming for him might be his wage demands. That was what It was first reported to be around 100,000 a week, and also in his last season at Bournemouth, he wasn't playing great, but he also said that his head was not in the game. And in previous season, he's been linked with big clubs like Arsenal, so it's not like he's a bad player. I think as we've seen it, if you exclude the last season, he is a very good player, and he could be, if he's played in the right role and given the opportunities, he could create chances, and he could be that decent player alongside Wilf and take pressure off Wilf. So hopefully it does happen, but that's a big if. Can Fraser return to the levels that he was performing at before, 2 years ago? If he can, then there's no problem.
But let me ask you this as well. Say we were to get him, with MacArthur and him, would we have the best 2 international players for any country that are not playing for their country in history?
That's I probably need to do some research on that one.
Yeah.
But there is a question directed for, it's got to be for you, Mike, from Ash. I say it's a question. It's more of a statement, but one for you to agree with, I'm sure. And that's saying, genuinely love watching Gyro running with the ball. Quality player. Wish we used him more. Very much in line with what you think, I suspect, not just hair related either.
Yeah, I mean it's got a lot to do with hair relations, but look, this is a player that came from an Ajax side that were one of the best in Europe, and he took a big nosedive for a while, and we thoroughly underutilised him. He's an excellent player, a proper utility player, which stuns me even more because Hodgson loves a utility player. You know, he proved himself in a random position at left back when needed. He's incredible, and the fact that he's stuck with us stuns me, and should make us love him even more. So yeah, big up Gyro.
So a couple of things. I mean, the first thing is obviously it didn't help Gyro being signed as a centre back by De Boer, where he was looking to play alongside Luca. Remember those days?
Yeah, Luca and Gyro as centre back. I don't mind Gyro, but Luca himself as centre back. That's just. Yeah.
But yeah, obviously the other point being that the second half has kicked off. I didn't see any sign of any changes, but I think that's Max Mayer on the pitch, number 7.
Yeah,
I think changes have been made. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of phone-based research to update people on what's happened there.
Yeah. Whilst you're doing that, we'll go through the comments. And I think did Mitchell start the game? I can't remember now. Yeah, Mitchell's on as well, I believe, at left back. But whilst Hamber's researching that, the score is 1-0 Oxford United. There's questions about that. Is Eze the replacement for Zaha? I don't believe so. I feel like Eze will be there alongside Zaha. It's not just a case of us getting Eze and selling Wilf. Wilf has been rumoured to leave the club, of course, but it seems like there's no club willing to pay how much Palace want for him. So I wouldn't say Eze is the replacement for Zaha. I feel like he'll play alongside Zaha. Any more news on João Felipe Matita? So there was a video on him today. He's a striker, 23 years old. I don't know if you guys saw it. You didn't see the video, but I know that. But the rumour is a striker for Mainz. I don't know what you guys think of him. Do you guys know anything about him?
I can't comment.
Yeah, yeah, he's basically 6'3". Had a long-term injury. Played around how many games? Where Palace are attacking now. That's why. Oh, is that a penalty? Is that a penalty for Palace?
I mean, you're ahead of me, Diyar, which annoys me.
Yes, it is a penalty,
hasn't it?
Palace have got a penalty. Wilf went down. It seemed like a clear penalty from the stream. So yes, it is a penalty. It is a clear penalty for Palace. So let's see who takes the penalty. We could end up scoring a goal. It could be
Henderson. Let's get Henderson up to take it. Come on now.
So Schlupp has Max has. Oh, this is confusing. So it was Jordan Ayew's the one who's gone off for Max Mayer. Wilf's gone up top. But like you say, isn't that Mitchell at left back? I'm confused. But
Schlupp missed it. He missed the penalty. Brilliant. Oh, this is brilliant. Schlupp misses a penalty against Oxford United. Hits it straight at the goalkeeper.
That was a really, really, really poor penalty.
That was a pre-season.
Can I say
penalty?
That he has never hit a shot that softly ever. Like the one thing you absolutely say about Schlupp is he hits the ball really well, really clean striker of a ball. seemingly unless he's taking a penalty under zero pressure at all in a pre-season friendly. Then he can't hit it.
That Benteke would have been proud of that penalty.
Any news from Batman from Chelsea? So any news on Batshuayi?
Oh, I mean, right.
From Chelsea.
I've got to say, write that one off. If there's wages wise, no chance. He's earning. He's one of those players. It's like when we were linked with Aaron Ramsey. I couldn't believe you even did a video on it. It's like it's a guy on 400 grand a week. Why the hell did we get linked with? So Batshuayi, we did a really, really good deal to get him on loan, but they're not sending the guy out on loan again. And if he leaves Chelsea, it will be on a permanent transfer. The only way we get him is if literally nobody else bigger than us with deeper pockets is in for him, because he's on astronomical wages, way beyond us. And personally, and this will get a bit of criticism, I'm sure.
I know what you're going to say.
I just don't see. He seems to be highly rated as a player. He seems to bang him in left, right, and centre. Oh, he scored 5 goals, but obviously 2 in one game. But there were several games where, frankly, he was anonymous. His hold-up play wasn't great, but
it's no Maro Mac.
But he did score goals, though. I know he didn't like the world apart, but he did score goals. And who else do we have apart from Ayus in terms of goal scorers?
Who else do you need but the Ghanaian prince?
Exactly.
You just have to pray, but you just have to pray that, God forbid, if he gets injured or anything like that, then who is going to score the goals?
Play him injured on one leg. He's
on one leg.
I just have to say, I don't think Batshuayi would be prolific like many people believe. Good striker, very good finisher. But again, if you think about the team he was playing in, we were more of an attacking force. This current squad, even with added players, I just don't see it as a good move for him or the club.
Ibrahimovic would end up with 10 goals in this team. Like it's going to ruin anyone's career. Even if the money was right, they'd be stupid to come. So,
well, if it's 3 on goal again, we scored. Yes, it's a goal.
Yes, he has scored. Yeah, stop being ahead of me. It's really annoying.
Wilfried Zaha has scored. The goal is 1-1 Palace. Down the right hand side, a through ball from Jeffrey Schlupp, who missed a penalty. A nice through ball. Wilfried Zaha gets through on goal. Oxford's player can't catch him up and slots it in. 1-1 Palace. Champions League incoming.
Interesting thing there. They are. Wilf on the right hand side. Well, obviously, I say he's moved up front to play in Ayu's position, if you like. But since Mayer came on, but right in the right hand channel.
Remember when we used to just swap Townsend around?
Yes.
How great was that? Balassi and him just swapping.
It would give something. It would give the defender something to think about. It was like, yes, it might not work all the time, but it's like Wilfried Zaha's on one side. Then you have to think about Townsend. Then you have to think about Wilf. It's just that tactical edge. I feel like it was there, but we don't have it anymore because we don't do it.
That kind of creative thinking is just unacceptable at modern Palace. None of that, please.
Imagine as the Oxford left back, like. Oh, this half you're marking Wilfried Zaha, who has a point to prove. Poor lad. All
right. So we've got other questions coming in. Of course, we're trying to answer most of them, as well as watching the game and updating you on the game. So we've got a question from Eagle. What's the situation with Sørloth on loan at Trabzon? I'll be honest with you. I'll leave it to you, Hamber. Maybe you know more than me. It is so confusing. It seemed like he signed a deal with Red Bull Leipzig, but he's contracted to Palace whilst on loan at Trabzon. It's a mess.
So I'll try and simplify it. And this is only what I've read. And again, it's all about reading the right places, I guess. So we know we did a loan deal for him. We know in the next season of that loan, he could be bought by Trabzonspor for, I think it's 6 million euros. So that's the deal that we did. Now,
sorry to interrupt, Han, but tons of people are asking for the score. It's 1-1 at the moment. Zaha equalised after an Oxford goal in the first half.
Yeah, and Palace playing a little bit better with a little more urgency in the second half, and Max Mayer's on the pitch for Jordan Ayew. But so basically, what's obviously happened is Sørloth has done very, very well in the season and has attracted interest from other clubs. Seemingly has negotiated with Leipzig to join them. So one of two things needs to happen. Obviously, either he has to wait for Trabzonspor to sign him to be sold, or he has to come back for Palace. Now, terminating the loan deal, Palace can't do it without a huge financial penalty, I believe. And same for Trabzonspor as well. They can't terminate with a huge financial penalty. The only way Sirloff that loan can be terminated is if Sirloff terminates it. So he has that option to terminate that loan. It's a goal.
It's a goal. I'm sorry to cut you off, but James McArthur scores and walks away like nothing, like he's done that week in, week out. It was simple for Macca. There was lots of passes inside the box, 1 or 2 passes to James McArthur on the left-hand side, and he slots it in pretty easy goal, 2-1 Palace. As I've said it, Champions League football is coming to Selhurst Park by next season. Well, the season after next season. Oh, it's a mistake from Oxford United.
It was, yeah. So
I'm joking about Champions League before we go crazy.
No, you keep saying it, mate. If you keep saying it, it'll happen.
And it's working, though. We scored a goal.
Yeah.
No, Ash, we can't put a score up on the screen, unfortunately. I wish we could. That would make it.
I might be able to.
I can't do that. I can't do that right now. I've seen that, Ash. But in future live streams, if that's what you guys want, I can look into that a bit. And always, if you can like the stream and wherever you're watching it, Facebook, YouTube, that help a lot as well if you are enjoying it. So yeah, but we'll try to put a scoreboard on in future streams if we plan to do it and if you guys enjoy it. But it's 2-1 Palace. Shout out to Max Mayer making an impact from Stephen.
Indeed, I was quite bored of explaining the Sirloff thing, so I'm glad I got cut off by a Palace goal. Thanks.
It's complicated. That's the situation with Sirloff. He's contracted.
I want to add that there was a guy on TalkSport that was a professional. I don't know, he deals with finances in football, and he basically said, "Look, without knowing the fine print of the details, I can't tell you." So, literally, no one knows. It could go either way, but if you trust anyone to sort something out like that, it's Paris. He's not going to let money go down the toilet. So
what I would say is not to expect him back at Palace. I know a lot of people are talking about, let's get him back. I think it wouldn't be a surprise for people to see that he didn't have the best of times. Roy Hodgson remains the manager, so I don't think currently we want him, and I don't think he would want to come back. So if he does terminate that loan, it will simply be to join another club. And it's interesting that that's not happening. So, we'll have to wait and see.
Should we quote the Scott Dan quote on this now?
No. Because we can't prove that was a genuine quote. So.
Right. Okay. Can I just say to everyone here that is unaware of what we do a lot of Palace stuff. We're all from a podcast called Back of the Nest. If you look us up. On whatever podcast app you use, we basically do a review show for every game, a preview show for every game. So if you want more Palace in your life than you possibly need, then we're the people to speak to.
And we do deliver much more than you need, significantly more than you need. I mean, Diyar especially, he just hasn't stopped. It's just constant YouTube this, YouTube that. I'm too old really to.
We're trying to bring more content. If you guys are enjoying this, as well, just let us know, and we'll try to do more for you guys. But yeah, podcasts will be resuming next season as well as YouTube videos. It is 2-1 Palace. I don't know why that website is saying it's 1-1. 2-1 Palace. James McArthur scored for Palace. But let's go to Barry's question. His statement. Never rated Sirloff. Turkish league a lot less than the Premier League. That's why he scored lots of goals in Turkey. I bet if he goes to another league or back to Prem, his goal tally will dry up.
I mean, Diyar, you can talk to the strength of the Turkish league. Obviously, confidence plays a big part in a striker. He's confident playing in Turkey, being, a significant player at that club. If you look at the goals he scores, he looks great, doesn't he? But what about the standard of the Turkish league? Is that fair?
Well, I'll say this. If you guys remember Robinho, he still plays in the Turkish league. The ex-Man City player, he still is in the Turkish league. And I actually watched Sirloff live in the Turkish league. I went to Fenerbahce versus Trabzonspor, and I watched Sirloff. And in that game, he done absolutely nothing. He was just handled by a very poor Fenerbahce team. But when you look at the Turkish league, and when you look at the goals that Sirloff has scored, he's not going to get them chances in the Premier League. It's just way too tactical, way too tight. And I just don't see it happening. But then again, with Sherlock, I feel like it is a confidence thing with the strikers, with him especially, because he just seems more confident in Turkey. He's taking strides, he's taking shots whenever he wants, whether that's in a outside the box, inside the box. He's more confident. He's a confident player. But whether he can do it back in the Premier League, I'm not too sure, because as you said, Barry, the Turkish league is a different breed to the Premier League. So yeah, I feel like his confidence has gone up in the Turkish league. But of course, the goals, I don't know if they'll translate back in the Premier League.
Jamie Woods, are other clubs making signings at the moment, or is everyone acting a bit slowly this window? So saw an update. To be honest, it wasn't the greatest source. I think it's the Mirror, with signings for this window a couple of days ago, and the only real side that had made proper strides was Man City. It's been a quiet window. I mean, financially, I think everyone's a bit reticent. So I was just keeping an eye on Brighton, really. Unfortunately, they got Lallana, but otherwise, there's not been that much movement in the league, much less than you usually expect. But this is a freakish window. So, yeah, I don't expect too much. I think it's more shuffling, players moving from sideways rather than upwards, if that makes sense.
I think, yeah, you're absolutely right in that there's not a huge amount of business being done by other clubs. It's not one of those windows where people really should be panicking about how slow Palace have been perceived to be. But
it's more.
I say some clubs
because of
exactly,
how we ended the season.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with it. We've got a sense of urgency because of how much this squad needs boosting. And we're going to have a similar position next season. Even if we sign 3 or 4 players, the squad is aging all together, and it's nearly a goal from Oxford. There remains 2-1 Palace. Obviously, goals from Zaha and MacArthur. Just gone past the 60th minute as well. But yeah, we know how desperate things are in terms of getting fresh faces in, because if we just go into the next season with Ferguson signed, as much as I wouldn't necessarily be surprised as Kelly gets ready to come off the bench, I think it would be considerably damaging, and we would be certainties for relegation.
So we've got a question from CPFC Lexington. Yep. How many of the 14 first-team players whose contracts are up at the end of the season will be renewed? 4 done. I think, Hamber, you talked about Palace tending to renew contracts rather than letting players go for free. We've already seen the 4. Dean Henderson, as we've seen in this game, and probably the only time we'll see it for the rest of the season. Dean Henderson being one of them, James MacArthur, Martin Kelly, and Jeffrey Schlupp. And there's loads of other players. Vicente Guaita being one, a massive player. Max Meyer, which we've talked about. I assume the club will get them done, especially with Vicente.
I think a large percentage of those. I think where Palace wouldn't renew a contract is if there's been no significant interest in the player in terms of purchasing him, and he doesn't, and he simply won't be able to add anything to the squad. The difficulty, of course, is if you let someone go, you need a replacement. So you've got 2 things: you buy or you bring someone up from the academy, and that will be the sort of questionable part. How do we manage that? I think the vast majority of those you could see being extended by a year to give us time to do that additional squad surgery, and those that are younger and have talent, and even if they haven't necessarily sparked as yet, I think will be certainly offered terms. And we're not shy of offering players, lesser deals than they are on.
Stop you there. Since Islam just keeps saying goal Oxford, fuck off, yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, it doesn't really mean anything either, does it? It's like, yeah, okay. Even if Oxford scored every 4 seconds, it wouldn't really. No one would really care, would we? So.
Yeah. We've got. Well, Mark is talking about the Eze transfer rumours. We talked about it a bit before, Mark, with Eze. We don't know if it's true yet, but there have been rumours indicating that Palace will put a new bid for Eze. So it could be well true. It could be well true. We could see Eze at Palace sooner rather than later. And Matthew said that if we win that first game against Southampton, it would be such a confidence boost. Agree with you. We ended the season on a really bad note. I know we got the draw against Tottenham, but it was really negative. So start of the season, imagine if we lose that game. That is going to be horrendous. I can't even imagine the fan base erupt, and it's going to be, everyone's going to be on Roy Hodgson, on the players. So that game against Southampton is going to be bigger than usual. We just need to win that game to make sure that we start the season off on a well note.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to look ahead that far, really, isn't it? First game of the season, usually critical, but we've got a habit of not doing tremendously well. I mean, the Huddersfield game sticks out in recent memory. I know pretty much any time we play a newly promoted side earlier in the season, for example, we tend to have a bit of a nightmare. But
Fulham 2-0 a couple of years ago.
No, fair point.
These are the type of questions we'd like. Most underrated player at Palace. All right, who's going to start with this?
I'm always much better on the overrated questions.
Most underrated player at Palace. Who's underrated? So, because they have to be bad in terms of the fan base's head. In the fan base's head, who's bad? Who's a bad player? Who do you say?
I think it.
Actually, why not?
Well, to a point.
I don't know. Yeah,
to a point, he demonstrates why at times, doesn't he? So, but I think, I mean, at times it's MacArthur because when things are going bad, he's one who gets a bit of stick. Then you miss him when he's not there. And it's weird because we've had, the core of the team has been around so long that they've all seemed to have had spells where they've been rated and spells where they haven't. Right now, at the current moment, I feel Luca is massively underrated by people. That's how I feel. Everyone's talking about he's had almost like he's had a disastrous season and all that sort of stuff. And I just don't feel that way. I just feel he was less effective than he was the season before, and there's a million reasons for it. So yeah.
Well, Mike, you got. I want to hear yours before I get on to Hamburg.
Thank you for blocking that guy. I mean, mine's not a big surprise. I think Gyro and it depends who you're talking about. Underrated outside of the club might be different, but inside of the club, I think Gyro could be one of our most important players. Otherwise, obviously, it's Wayne Hennessy.
I'm sorry. I have to move on. Wayne, I'm not even entertaining. I'm not even entertaining it. Yeah, I know. I'm not even entertaining it. But Palace are 3 on goal. Max Meyer, a player that could be No, he's not underrated. I was going to say he's underrated, but no,
he is. He is by some.
No. So let's go back to Luca.
Sorry, just to say we nearly scored a third there.
Yeah. Max Meyer, he went into the box, of course, tried to put a ball into the box, but the Oxford player just came out at the right time to intercept that. So Luca's underrated. Hambo, what makes you think that? Because he didn't have the greatest of seasons last season. What makes you think he's underrated?
Because the question becomes when you say he didn't have the greatest of seasons, is how are you quantifying and judging that, right?
I'm basing on not stats, just watching him. Luca wasn't the Luca that we've seen in the previous seasons. Last season he wasn't that.
But it all, when you look at how the team is playing and the role that he's playing within that side, the trouble is that we all as fans, we all love things to be black and white. Someone's either playing well or they're playing badly. And the truth is sometimes a player's playing perfectly well because they're doing what they're asked to do. They're just not doing what we expect them to do. So they take criticism. But, Roy had plenty of options in midfield. He wouldn't play Luca if Luca was as terrible as people are making out. So first and foremost. So that's one thing I would say. But excuse me, whenever I've had conversations about it, people have said to me things like, he's always passing backwards and sideways. And then you watch the game and you're like, no, he isn't. And then, he's always the one who misplaces a pass. So you check out his pass completion stats in comparison to the other midfielders. And, surprise, he's top, So you're trying to think, and the only thing he hasn't done is delivered a consistently good set piece, which no one in the team seems to be able to do. And he hasn't had as many opportunities to score from the penalty spot as he did the previous season. He's certainly, I think what people are quite right about is, is he as influential as he was the season before? No. Absolutely not. But I think that comes from lots of different places. And arguably, I would agree with those who think he needs to do more as a captain. By all accounts, off the pitch, he's a very strong leader. But on the pitch, you don't always get that impression. And we were spoilt by Jedinak, who was the perfect captain, as Henderson saves well there from Oxford. But, Jedinak was the perfect, inspiring leader. He was everything you would want in a captain. And it almost didn't matter that he wasn't the best of footballers. Where Luca's almost a little bit of the opposite. He's a tremendous technical footballer. But on the pitch, sometimes that leadership is not as visible as it should be. And particularly when we're up against it, and particularly in defending his teammates as well, in particular Wilf. So I see the arguments, but I'm not in favour.
Wouldn't you say Gyro in midfield in place of Luca would be better? Because that's what I think. I feel like Gyro in midfield in place of Luca would be better because he's got a passing range. He really has. I prefer him in midfield rather than left back as well. And I feel like if you give him consistent game time, then potentially we could see more out of Gyro than we do see under Luca. Because
you'd have to play Gyro in a completely different role. Because you look at Gyro, you're absolutely right. If you're looking at Gyro to sit in midfield, dictate play, and basically if you're looking at on the ball, I'm just watching because Mayer's had a shot chance.
Yeah,
but on the ball, absolutely right. But if you're asking Gyro Readout to act as a screening midfield player, the way that Luca does, I would say you're 100% wrong, and that Luca is infinitely better than him in that role.
That's not going to solve any of our problems anyway, is it? So it doesn't feel like it's that important of a question. I mean, I think you're right. He wouldn't be an amazing screening defensive midfield player, but that's not our problem anyway. Like, we've got defensive midfielders falling out of our ears. Like, that's not the issue.
Got a couple more substitutions for Palace. Jeffrey Schlupp has gone off, but it's really hard to tell who's coming on.
So Sam Woods coming on and Ryan Ennis coming on.
Right, yeah, it is Ryan Ennis. Oh, he's been at the club for a long time.
It's only 24, 25, but been at the club a long, long time.
He was on loan last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, he spent a little while out on loan. He's been, where's he been? Newport, Colchester, I think, various places. But yeah, still with Palace.
Lots of people are sending their starting lineup for next season. What would be you guys'? I think if we get Eze, he's definitely included there. But it's interesting if we get Eze and Fraser, what formation we play, because we start both of them. He's on the bench.
I mean, Eze only. He's, people talking about him as a Zaha replacement earlier. You quite rightly shot that down a bit, Diyar, because he's not a wide player. Can play wide, but isn't a winger. He plays centrally, and the only way that he would start any games under Roy, in my view, is if we took one of the three central midfielders and played them in an advanced role and gave them effectively no defensive responsibility. Because
that's not going to happen. I'll be massively surprised if Roy Hodgson takes out three central, because we've been calling for it with Max Meyer. Maybe he doesn't believe in Max Meyer and may believe in Eze, but I just don't see it happening. What's going to change? He hasn't played Meyer in that position. So if he does join, I feel like he will play out wide, just like Meyer has when he has played. Even in this game now, Meyer's on the left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly. Look, in terms of predicting for next season, I don't want to necessarily do it now because
we'll talk about it in the future. Expecting
some signings to come in, but in terms of systems, without being cynical about it, it'll be the same system. I think. If Fraser was to come in, he would challenge Townsend on the right-hand side. Quite rightly, you need competition out there. Obviously, Ferguson will be challenging Ward at right back. I expect Ferguson to start when fit. Eze will be a bench player, I expect.
Can you imagine £20 million for a bench player? Jeez.
But in a way, easing him into Premier League football initially, I suppose there's probably no harm in that. Seeing if he can become an impact player, but.
The thing is, if he's on the bench, he's going to be chosen after James McCarthy. So that's
that's a positive.
And let's face it, we don't always use all of our subs, do we? Still 2-1 here, isn't it? As I say here, we're not at Sellers Park, just to clarify.
I mean, look at you. unless Sellers Park has moved locations. And it's in my room.
I've lurked around Selhurst Park in the in various areas. There was a time where my living room looked a little bit like some of those areas, but it's been tarted up a bit now.
Hello, Joe. And the score's 2-1 to Palace. MacArthur and Wilfried Zaha have scored. I just had to make sure that I got that correct.
Yeah, we're not. None of us have bothered to look up who the Oxford goal scorer was because we simply don't care.
Yeah, that's a
I can
professional.
give you some update on Ryan Innes though. So he was at Newport County last season, and then Dundee the season before, which I did remember. So he's been consistently out on loan since 2013, when Palace got him. His appearances for all clubs aren't amazing. Newport County he played 22 last season, which is by far the most he's played in a season. So at the age of 25, he's got to be looking for something more.
It's an interesting snippet. I mean, that's a hilarious shot.
Yeah.
Kicked it out for a throw-in. That looks like one of mine. Definite shank with it. As Nia Kirby's coming off the bench, that seems good news to me. But just a quick bit of trivia for you on Ryan Innes. One of the current trialists for the under-23s is the player Ryan Innes was banned for biting last year. So there you are.
Jeez. Oh. And also, we've got another question from Clark. How will Zaha do next season?
For who?
For Palace.
Oh, right, okay. If he stays at Palace,
Same performance?
It depends who we get in and around him. I think Andros was very honest when he spoke on TalkSport, Mike, wasn't he? With talking about his own performances, putting a lot more pressure on Wilf because we had nothing on the right-hand side to take that pressure off, which I thought was nice of him to say. But Wilf was obviously mentally affected by not getting his move as well. If that happens again, you would fear more of the same. But they're certainly not held off in this pre-season match if you want to try and judge it by that kind of level.
I mean that was a slightly damaging interview, which Maya's just shot wide. Townsend, very complimentary about Zaha, but at the same time, sort of weirdly saying something along the lines of, I'd be training really hard, he'd be playing Angry Birds on his phone, and then come out and get man of the match, which raises its own questions. So that was a very interesting interview.
Yeah, I think sometimes those sort of throwaway comments can be taken, a bit too seriously. But it wouldn't be the first player who's spoken out and criticised Wolves training. Didn't think Breda Hangland did as well.
Messi wants to leave Barcelona. Breaking news. I wouldn't want him at Paris. We got Andros. We talked about him anyways. I feel like he's a bit overrated. We don't need Messi on our side.
We've also got Scott Banks, who's the Scottish Messi, coming through as well. So
I'm going to have to move location because it started to rain on me. So
I would love that. I would love to be rained on right now. Mike, absolutely, obsessed with the sun. I love the rain.
Take the mic.
Just gutted, man.
Time being. Until Mike comes back. So the score's 2-1. So everyone asking is 2-1 to Palace. Palace are winning their first preseason game back. And people are talking about why don't they say the names for the trial list. I'm not too sure. Every club does it. No one really says the name for the trial list. Maybe you know.
Oh, sorry. That's me dismantling my setup. If you know where to read, you'll be able to find all the names of the trialists. I mean, off the top of my head, I can remember Harlem Hale, who's been really impressive.
I just want to bring this comment. Palace are still shit up the Yellows. I just want to say that it's 2-1 to Palace and that you're playing League 1 or League 2 football, but maybe one day you could reach the levels. But anyways,
if that person could just let me know if you've built the fourth stand at your ground yet, because it's last time I was there,
we went there.
Three stands and a fence.
Yeah.
But I did have a lovely buffet in the football club at a safety conference for work once, so. It's not all bad at Oxford.
Yeah, I mean, being Oxford is not a massive plus. It's what we should do anyways. Let's go into proper comments now. Just heard Eze deals completed. Is this true? We've been talking about Eze all show long. Transfer rumours suggesting that it's £19.5 million for Eze is completed according to the Telegraph, I believe, or the Guardian. I'm not too sure. We've been in the stream for so long. So yeah, it seems like it's nearly done. Hopefully, it could be announced soon.
Well, Diyar, you will know from conversations we were having a couple of days ago that it was strongly suggested by those in the know who the deal that Palace were really pushing to get this deal done. So it's not a massive surprise if we've done so. But exactly. as I've said a few times, until that player's pictured on the website holding the shirt, it's always worth tempering those expectations and that excitement. But certainly a player we were desperate to get. Been after him for a while, and all the signs are very, very positive, aren't they? A couple more looking like they'll be coming off the bench as we hit 79 minutes just coming up. It's that time in a pre-season friendly where they bring on so many different players and everyone seems to sort of forget what the football is, as Oxford did there by hammering it straight out of play under no pressure. So always a bit scrappy at the end of the game, but Palace currently doing enough to be 2-1 up. And some good, good to see some younger players getting minutes. Obviously, Mitchell's still there at left back. Kirby's come off the bench.
A big one. He hasn't featured at all, and we haven't really talked about him. But he could be that player for us, providing.
He had a really interesting spell out on loan at Blackpool. Was it last? It's hard to know what was last season because of the break, but I think it was technically last season or maybe the season before. But he struggled to get in the side when he first went there. But when he did break in, he sort of like just grew in confidence and left a really good impression on most of their support from what I remember. And I think he even got a goal down there as well. Very, very talented young player, but yet to feature for under Roy, I think, in terms of a first team debut.
Yeah, Mike is back. I'm watching it on my on my phone, so I couldn't actually see Mike being ready. Sorry about that, Mike. Anyways, Mike is back, and also Palace are doing substitutions. But whilst Palace are doing that, I'll bring up the next question. But before I do, if you're enjoying the video, as always, leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content, as it helps out a lot.
I'll just say, excitingly, one of the subs coming on there, I think, was John Camunye Gordon.
Yeah, that's.
Who's young striker. We've been crying out for a striker from the academy. I think he's probably only just about 17, if not still 16. But sort of been at the club a while, but really started to excel in the last couple of seasons, and a very, very exciting prospect. Not one of those who's come through the system and scored 30, 40 goals a season or anything like that, but it's looking a very, very good prospect for us.
Just had a chance as well, which got blocked. But let's quickly go into this question because there's lots of questions coming up. We'll try to read all of them. So thoughts on Vicente Guaita transfer rumours? Amber, you can talk about this, but I'll quickly say my point. I don't think he's going to leave Palace unless it's a very exceptional, just crazy offer. Because why on earth would Palace sell him? He's got a year left in his contract. There is that to consider. But I feel like if it comes to it, he seems happy at Palace from what he's been saying on social media. So if Palace offer him a new contract, then I feel like Vicente will be here.
Lots of talk on social media and things that are new offers have been on the table anyway, and that he'll be signing it. Like you do, I don't see him going anywhere. I mean, it's an interesting point. Keepers are a little bit different. Usually a player of his age, if we were to receive a bid, we'd probably be quite philosophical about it and look to get a replacement. But I think the only keeper we've been linked with is Alex Bassett at Portsmouth, and by all accounts, he's not someone ready for Premier League football. We've got a great goalkeeper. Why are we going to let him go? There's no chance, I don't think.
Okay, let's try to get through as many questions as we can. So questions about Benteke out or in before the end of the window. For me, Benteke in. I have to say, though, there's a report coming out today suggesting that Palace are willing to accept an offer for around £7 million. So,
yeah, but it'll come back to the fact that he won't want to leave because he's still on stupid wages. So the only team in this country that would possibly be an issue is Villa, and I really don't see it happening. So I think he's probably going to see his contract out.
He is on lower wages than he was. I mean, people.
He's on lower wages than what have been said the last few days, but people are not going to pay that.
He's had interest from the Middle East, which he's actually turned down. So I feel like he believes in himself at the top level still. So yeah, Benteke seems like he doesn't want to leave. He's happy at Palace, but he's got a year left in his contract. Worth noting that if he doesn't sign one until the January transfer window, then we could see Benteke leave for even a cheaper deal than 7 million.
Look, pretty simple. If we get an offer this summer of a decent value, we will accept it, and then it's up to him whether he goes or not. If he hangs about, we'll try and you could see us even giving him another year. Just because we don't want to lose a player for nothing, so that could easily happen. I don't. Again, another one of those. Unless he's desperately trying to force us to run down a contract, and then you would argue he would have done that before signing the revised one. I just, it'll have to be some really firm interest in him. I know, obviously, he's not scored the goals, and people are quite rightly criticised him for that. Be interesting to see if that confidence came back under another manager playing a different way.
So a question from Colin: what do you guys think Roy needs to do differently this coming season to last? For me, it's simple as changing about when it doesn't work. It's just simple as you have to have a plan B. And Palace are pushing as well for a goal. Had a massive chance crossing to the box. Then I think it went down to Mitchell, who tried to cross it back into it, and Oxford United cleared it out. But what do you guys think for Roy Hodgson?
What would Roy have to do? I mean, first of all, I don't think Roy is willing or probably capable of the necessary change. But just being prepared to use the squad, being prepared to do. How many times have we heard him say, I didn't make that change because I had nothing on the bench that would have been any better. That's a frustrating thing when you've lost a game, because what would have been much worse, like back end of last year when he wasn't giving the young players even 10, 15 minutes at the end of games, and I can't drop a fully fit professional. It's like, well, you can, because you're not winning football matches. So it's pretty much what you said, Diyar. That's what I would like to see him change, to be a bit more forward thinking, to think about the careers of the players that he's not playing. Maybe some of the youth players are overrated and won't reach Premier League level, right? But you're not going to know unless you play them. But they've also got lives and careers after they leave Palace, that you have a duty of care to them, and you have a duty of care to the club to ensure that these players develop and attract a value when you sell them on. And it doesn't seem like he's got any real consideration of any of that. And whether that's a factor of how the club works or how his mind works, I don't know. But there's a lot I would like to change. But that in a way, again, that sounds disrespectful, because there are a huge amount of positives about Roy Hodgson as a football manager, and you don't last till his age if you're not a good manager. So it's not all about how bad he is, but in terms of what we need, that's my view. Okay,
let's talk about. Why do you laugh?
Because I sort of finished and I was like, I was expecting an over to Mike, and you just went,
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
no,
okay. Yeah.
I was expecting Mike to talk, but he didn't want to talk. So,
well, no, it's not that. We're not going to get through all the questions if we just
Yeah. There's so many questions.
Don't ask me any more questions, because I talk a lot. Let's have Mike answer them now.
Okay, so Mike, answer this question. Thank you, Patrick, for your kind words. He said, thank you for all the fun last season. Gyro is just great. Would you play him further up the pitch?
I just think he should be a utility player. Either he played left defender last season when needed to. I think he played central midfield as well. Not too sure about him doing too much more creative stuff down the flanks, but just wherever there's a gap, really. That's what's great about him.
Yeah. Bridgie says Eze is nearly done. Michael Bridge, who has been covering Palace for Sky Sports, is saying that Eze deal is nearly done. Lots of reports coming out this evening during the stream. So it seems like Eze could be joining Palace. Let us know what you think about that transfer in the comments. So many questions come in. Let's get one from Colin. Colin, is Ferguson playing? No, he isn't playing. I think he's still recovering from his injury that picked up whilst he was at West Brom. Roy's problem is that he's got his favourites and won't change things after injury. They're straight back into the side. I agree with you there. And yeah, there's lots of conversation going on. As always, if you are enjoying the video, we're coming towards the end of the game. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, it's been great so far. Lots of comments, lots and lots. We can't even keep up.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I didn't expect it. I'll be honest with you, but then I haven't really had any minutes to myself for a whole day to even think about it. So, but yeah, as you say, Diyar, thank you to everybody who's commented so far. Just ticking past 88 minutes at the moment with Palace 2-1 up, of course. Goals from Zaha and MacArthur. Just go back on that point that was being made on Hodgson about him having his favourites. It's something I've said a lot as well. But all managers to a degree have their favourites. I'm not sure I've ever experienced a manager be this kind of bloody minded about it. I almost feel like, sometimes he'll pick a player just because people have said he shouldn't. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I think, we've experienced some interesting managers over the years, Mike, but I'm not sure whether any quite compare in their stubbornness to Roy.
I mean, obviously he's been a manager for a lot more games than the majority of our managers. So his antics tend to grate a bit more. But the fact that he's consistently done the same thing for so long and it's just slowly got worse. I mean, Pulis might have done the same thing, but he jumped ship. Big Sam might have done the same thing, but he jumped ship. So it's really hard to know. But I was at the end of my tether. I'm not easy to persuade to get rid of a manager. Last season I was ready for a change, but now I'm just thinking our player changes might be enough to kickstart something. But I might just be being really, really optimistic. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's definitely contingency plans or transition plans, if you want to call it that, for Roy to move on. Because, like I said, I mean, my belief is it's his last season, and whether or not that's his choice or our choice will remain to be seen if it's even the case. But I'm sure the club are working hard in where we go next, because that's the important thing. Even if I think it's the old adage, isn't it? If you stand still in the Premier League, you go backwards, and that's Diyar. It's full time.
Yeah, it is full time. Should we go through last couple of questions before we end it? Yeah, quickly.
Yeah, do it.
Out there said, I don't think some young players are overrated. They don't give them much opportunity. Agree with you there. Even though some of them are overrated, I'll have to come out and say that. Well, that's a topic for another day.
No, well, yeah, but it's worth noting that I think all teams do, to a point, when their academy players come through. You all do give them more, and so you'll forgive them poor performances more than you would a player who hasn't come from your academy, and you will absolutely have the belief that they're the next big thing. We talked about it before. Saleh Kaikai was one who everyone was desperate to get in the side, including me at times, to be honest with you, because he showed a degree of skill and promise beyond that of his sort of cohorts, if you like. He's obviously moved on. He's still playing professionally, but I think he's at Blackpool now, maybe something like that. But he's not kicked on and become a Premier League player, and that's no disrespect to him. It's very hard to be a Premier League footballer. And you look at the current crop, Pierre-Eric's done really well, but is Pierre-Eric going to be a Premier League player? Remains to be seen. So these are the things where you talk about overrating players, but I totally agree with the comment that we haven't given opportunity. But opportunity, in my view, is that sort of final way to judge whether or not they're going to be someone who's going to kick on. We saw it with Wan-Bissaka most recently. If he hadn't been given that opportunity due to injuries, who knows where he would be right now. But was given that opportunity, was outstanding from minute one, and you just knew we had a player on our hands there. Just unfortunately, he's not ours anymore.
Exactly. Skin says, what is the score? The final score is Palace 2, Oxford United 1. We win our first pre-season game of the season. And that's pretty much it. I guess we've talked about Palace for a long time. I guess if you guys have enjoyed it, let us know. We can potentially do it again. If Palace decide to stream it, we've enjoyed it as well. Talking to you guys, it flew by. We've been here for 2 hours. Eze deal was nearly done, so make sure to check out our podcast. If we don't see you guys till the start of the season, we'll be doing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, surely we'll do a podcast if Eze signs.
Yeah, we'll do podcasts. We'll do different stuff. Yeah, we'll do videos as well. So just subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you follow us. And yeah, and until next time, up the Palace.